What up, my freaks? Ruinous Insight here with another Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 Skalgrim Mod ship spotlight. So we are now done taking looks at the various Tyranid ships that have arrived with the mod and are moving on towards the Necrons. Now, for those of you who have played the Necron campaign or have watched my Let's Play of same, will already be familiar with the various Necron ships that have been added, and we've also already done the spotlight for Anubis, but there are various other ships that were added that I feel still deserve their own spotlight, as they are not vanilla ships. And, you know, completionism and all that, gotta look at everything. Now, this time we're gonna be starting with the big boy, the biggest boy, in fact, possibly or arguably the most powerful ship in the entire mod slash game as it currently stands. The Throne of the Silent King. Now, this thing is pretty obnoxiously powerful, as those of you who have already seen it can attest. And this is for a number of reasons, but some of which are sort of unique to the Necron Titans slash Mega Titans. And that reasoning is, despite the fact that they're fairly slow, well, the Anubis is actually reasonably fast for its size, but both the Throne and the Anubis have the inertialess drive. Now, for a Mega Titan, a ship that is such a huge point investment at 14,000 and so slow, to have the ability to move around the map like that is absolutely huge. Like, imagine if you could move the Somnium or the Abyss around like that. It would be a massive difference, and same with the Tau ships. The thing is, the fact that these ships are slow is generally what makes them very vulnerable. Well, it's actually one of the two things that make them very vulnerable, which I will get into the other one in a second. The Throne and the Anubis, they both bypass that completely. They are both able to reposition and jump around and essentially choose the range of their engagement, especially if they can maintain a distance for longer, which is easier against the AI than it is against the player in general as well. So yeah, inertialess drive is a huge boon to the Throne of the Silent King. The other weakness, however, that the Mega Titans has does remain on the throne, and that other weakness is the fact that it is a singular ship. So against factions like the Space Marines, against the Tyranids, you're going to get your single ship boarded a billion times, and then once it is boarded, it essentially becomes a race against time to see whether you can output enough damage and kill the enemy fleet before you become a drifting hulk, especially if the ship does not have any supporting ships to recover it. And well, in this particular test, I guess it won't. Although, I mean, it could be nice to bring some, but no need. And one of the other reasons that there is no need is this ship can, in fact, take care of itself. It does have 16 launch bays in addition to the Star Pulse Wave and the extra Doomscythe launch that it can do. So it's basically able to defend itself against nearly a full fleet, or maybe even a full fleet of enemy ordnance. So yeah, not very vulnerable, is not really requiring of a bunch of support ships just to protect it. Especially since Necron Ordnance is pretty strong in general. Man, I'm really thirsty today. Sorry about all the pauses. It's necessary, apparently, I assure you. Anyway, let's take a few more looks at some of the stats that this thing has got going on for it. As I've already said, it is very slow, and it also turns quite slowly. Now, with regards to its best weaponry, its Annihilator Beam turret, the turning thing does not really matter. But with regards to boarding, for example, it really does, because the boarding does not occur. I actually don't remember. Does this thing board at 270 degrees, or maybe at broadside only? I feel like it's 270. I feel like it can't board behind itself. I could be wrong, but I guess we'll find out when we launch. Otherwise, it does have those lightning arc turrets, which also can't fire behind itself, and that's another thing that I just want to point out with regards to being able to jump around with the inertialess drive, where the Somnium and the other Mega Titans are vulnerable because of their rotation speed and their turn rate, is the fact that other ships can essentially get behind them and stay in the shadow of their engines firing at them while they can't really react, which is a major major issue, especially faster ships, especially faster ships that can kite well as well. But in general, it's a definite vulnerability that just doesn't exist for the throne. Yes, they can do that for a few seconds, but inevitably you'll just jump away at max distance, turn, and fire at them, and do whatever the hell you please, or hit them with doom sights if they're not busy with defending the ship. Yeah, so that's definitely a big help with regards to that one vulnerability that these things share. Otherwise, the stats are pretty comparable to other Mega Titans. An insane amount of hull points with 18,750, and you have to also remember that there is a lot of extra effective HP there. I.e., it's got 85 armor all across the board at 18,750 HP. So more HP there, plus extra HP due to the fact that, or effective HP rather, due to the fact that the Necrons repair, that they can use their reactive hull shift, plus their Scarab Swarm if you're going to be bringing it, and generally on these things you probably do want to be bringing that Scarab Swarm to increase the repair and increase the AoE damage. Otherwise, the troop ability of this thing is not very strong, and it is a ship that does want to fight at essentially mid-range, basically, to be able to fire most of its weaponry, but you're not going to rely on boarding. It's got good troop efficiency, and it doesn't do a crazy amount of troops. Conversely, though, it does have a lot of troops to defend it at 70 troops per stage, which is really, really good. Which brings me back to the idea of, it becoming a race against time and fighting the enemies. When you're boarded up by a lot of enemies, at least you have enough troops to maintain your fire and stuff without dropping so low that you're going to be, useless very quickly. Otherwise, everything else is, yeah, oh, well, the identification range is kind of garbage, but, well, you have the inertialist drive to identify the enemies if you want to get close, especially against enemies like, let's say, the Eldari, which you don't really fear going close to, but otherwise you maybe want to bring a Canoptech probe or some escorts to keep identifying this stuff. A little bit unfortunate that its identification range is so low, but, this thing is already so incredibly powerful, you probably don't want to give it absolutely everything, or else it's going to get a little bit on the obnoxious side of its ability, isn't it, or of its power. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the weapons. As I've already mentioned, there are 16 launch bays to protect it and to hit the enemy with those fighter bombers that the Necron ordnance are. It's got its best weapons, which are 3 Annihilator beam turrets, which is what allows it to essentially maintain and fight at a long distance. This gives it essentially 2 fighting modes. One where you're kiting away from the enemy and firing those Annihilator beam turrets to soften up the enemy fleet as often as possible before closing the distance, and is really something you want to do against factions like the Space Marines and the Tyranids before you get boarded. Might as well do as much damage as possible before you start losing that troop capacity. This is a very slow firing weapon at only a 28 reload time, so that's certainly something to be concerned about, but you do have more time to fire it as long as you can kite away from the enemy via your inertialist drive. It's also quite a bit of damage alpha, and the problem with that is if you end up missing, i.e. it hitting debris fields, it hitting enemy ship pieces, it hitting enemy hollow fields and being absorbed or negated or whatever you want to call that, that's a lot of alpha that you're losing out on for 28 seconds just by virtue of that single miss. So that is definitely something you want to watch out for in terms of positioning this thing properly when it's allowing, or when it's relying rather, on a lot of its damage output coming in from those Annihilator beam turrets. Otherwise, it's got Gauss particle whip turrets and lightning arcs, just like pretty much every single Necron ship. That's one of the reasons that, kind of like the Tyranids, the Necrons are relatively easy to analyze because their weapon platforms are fairly simple and they share them between most of their ships, right? So not a huge deal. The Gauss particle whips mid-range, but also able to propagate like the Annihilator beams, or technically I guess the Annihilator beams are propagating like the Gauss particle whips because there's the same kind of weaponry. But yes, something that it can apply at mid-range, and basically most of the time with this thing, you're mostly wanting to fire the Annihilator Beam turrets and the Particle Whips. If the enemy's close enough to the Lightning Arc turrets, you really need to start working on destroying the enemy fleet quickly before you're boarded and killed. Well, at least against the factions that are really, really threatening towards this particular ship. But 24 Lightning Arc turrets is still quite a lot, especially if you turn on Dispersed Lightning Arc. So if you do get caught by a Tyranid fleet or another fleet that's brought a lot of ships, like the Orcs, you can still jump into the middle of the fleet, turn on Dispersion, and watch this thing wreck face with the propagation of the Gauss Particle Whips and Annihilator Beam turrets, presuming you take the Arc Propagator upgrade, which you should 100% of the time do. There is no situation where you wouldn't be taking that on this thing. But yeah, if you're firing the Lightning Arc turrets, you can still get quite a bit of damage output from them. Just don't want to be firing them and taking damage when against some enemy fleets. It really depends on what you're facing, right? If you're against an enemy like Space Marines that brought a lot of Luminors, or if you're against an enemy that has brought a lot of Omega Artillery, in the term of the Adeptus Mechanicus, or if you're against the Space Marines and they brought a lot of, or not the Space Marines, the Imperial Navy, and they brought a lot of Subjugators, once again, lots of long-range crazy alpha damage, then you're gonna want to jump close and rip apart those more fragile ships. Then again, on the other hand, Omega Artillery, while dishing out a lot of damage, would also take a lot of damage to the Annihilator Beam turrets, as they are Pierce Shield, Pierce Armor, and that is also very, very advantageous against factions that rely on high shielding and such. So, yeah, definitely a toss-up between different factions and the types of fleets that they bring. So you definitely got to react, but you know what, that's true of everything, right? So it's not really anything the unique about this particular ship. Although I suppose some fleets don't really have an option, i.e. they're really only good at one thing and they can't really fight at different engagement modes, whereas this has the advantage of being able to once again close the distance really, really quickly if it wants to with the inertialist drive, and has the option. It's going to be a lot more difficult getting a Somnium or another very slow Titan to be very close if for some reason you want it to be very close, as opposed to the Throne there. And that's about it for what we've got in terms of its weaponry and its stats. It obviously has "and they shall know no fear" and it's immune to criticals, so it doesn't really care about all that stuff. It also does have the good troop efficiency trait, which I mentioned earlier, and then it's got extra damage from ramming, but really good luck ramming with this thing just by virtue of it being so slow. You might luck into jumping it close enough and ramming an AI, but a player, fairly unlikely. So it's certainly something you want to take advantage of, especially against somebody like the Tyranids, who do tend to ram these ships and kill themselves. With this amount of mass, it's not really something you care that much about. Anyway, let's take a look at all the color schemes here. Mephrit have always looked pretty cool just by virtue of the golden LEDs that they have, and you do love it when the AI switches up the LEDs. I believe that's Mephrit and Thocht, the blue ones. Yeah. I really like the Nephrek one. It's a classic Necron green LEDs, but they've got the golden body there, so you got a lot of these golden highlights on the ship. It's pretty cool. And in fact, I believe I'm going to go with this one for this particular showcase. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the others. Unfortunately, as I've mentioned before about this map, where you look at the Necron ships, it's kind of unfortunate in the lighting, because it's really hard to take a look at the color schemes here, and it's better off in the actual maps in the game. The lighting is really off because of the dark and then the green there. Alright, the red body on the Novak looks pretty cool, but once again, kind of hard to see here. There we go. Sort of seeing, but like from on high, it's hard to see it because of the lighting here. Anyway, Sautek, which is also green, but I believe it has the red blades on it, which is also pretty nice as well. Also quite cool. I definitely like that one as well. Timorin. That's the darker body, I think, of the ship, but still the classic green LEDs. And we've seen Thocht. Wait, Sautek also has the gray... Wait. Yeah, I think it has the grayer body. Yes. Anyway, that's about it. We're going to go with the Nefrek for this time, and let's take it out for a spin. I mean, once again, since it's a fairly simple analysis, save, yes. For the upgrades, as I've already said, you really want to get the Arc Propagator for this thing, and there is no situation where you don't want to be bringing it. And then similarly, the Nightmare Shroud, probably, especially if you're going to be in close combat, although we do once again have to remember that it's only got that 9,000 identification range, so it's not a crazy distance, but against horde factions, it's fairly effective. And again, it's a buff for a flagship that is probably going to be in reload most of the time, so you're definitely getting a decent amount of effectiveness out of it. Now, for the other upgrades, there's a lot of upgrades where you can get stuff out of them. Like, for example, you could definitely benefit from the Eldritch Bridge and the Lightning Strike, but the thing is, once again, as I've said, this ship isn't really relying on boarding the enemy by virtue of its weaker troop efficiency and the fact that it doesn't want to really be boarded itself. But more importantly, you will never get as much mileage out of this or from any of the other upgrades as you probably will out of the Arc Propagator and the Nightmare Shroud. I suppose if you're in a long-range fight that you've chosen, you might be able to switch Nightmare Shroud for residual absorption to increase that effective HP further, but otherwise, all the other stuff is pretty meh. I mean, like, unstable pulse core, right? Damage inflicted by Star Pulse Generator increased. Great, it has the Star Pulse Generator, but it is also 14,000 points worth of flagship, whereas you could bring a fleet that's a bunch of Sekhems and spam those Star Pulse Generator, where the unstable pulse core would be really beneficial. But for a single Star Pulse wave, which you're probably only using to fight against enemy fighters, really not that big of a deal. And same for all the other stuff. Again, Shards of Nyadrazatha, you can get some fires on board via boarding, but once again, who cares? Because you're probably not relying on this ship to board. So, yeah. Otherwise, Scarab Swarm and Canoptech Probe is the upgrades I'm going to be bringing. Scarab Swarm, I feel like you pretty much always want to bring. The Inertialess Maneuver might be helpful as well if you need to reorient the ship, as it does turn very slowly. In fact, if we had escorts, I would bring the escorts and take Inertialess Maneuver instead of the Canoptech Probe if I was not bringing Stasis Bomb and Transdimensional Thunderbolt. Obviously, Transdimensional Thunderbolt is great, but I don't want it to interfere with the Spotlight, and Stasis Bomb is also great, but it's a toss-up between Stasis Bomb and Scarab Swarm, essentially. And in fact, I mean, you're basically choosing Stasis Bomb, i.e. doing more damage at distance, or Scarab Swarm, i.e. doing more damage close up. Once again, if I had escorts, we could bring both of these. Or we could bring both of these, or like this. There's lots of options that would work really well for this one ship by itself as an admiral, but for this time without escorts, we're going to be going for Canoptech Pro. And here we go. Let's go. Well, it wants to fight us Drukhari for the first battle. Let's fight the Drukhari first battle. We will definitely fight the Tyranids and the Space Marines as the most difficult fights, but let's start with a little bit of an easier one, I guess, since that's what our Jesus wants us to do. Ooh, here we go. Looking pretty nice against that planet there. And I forgot whether I went for... Yeah, okay, that looks reasonably golden. Not golden enough for the Emperor, perhaps, but maybe for the Silent King. Alrighty, let's group you up. Well, not that there's any need. And here we go. And, ooh, hello. Looks like we have a... I think that was a Spear of Cain. Maybe. It certainly launched a lot of fighters. Let's find out. Couldn't quite tell there for a second. Would be nice to at least fight one enemy Titan. And I also now... Okay, wait. First, let's put you on a reload there. And I guess we will send out a Canoptech Probe out here. Let's identify those filthy Drukhari vessels. We will launch our own defensive fighters in a couple of seconds. Let's just speed it up while the enemy fighters close, and I think we're good. Here we go. Wish I could have... I was about to say could have waited a little bit longer, but I think we're okay. Now we just gotta identify those enemies so we can start propagating to them with our Annihilator beams. Here we go. Oh, don't waste those shots on the escorts there. Number one target, yeah, there's a battleship here, there's a cruiser here. And yeah. There we go. Oh, you're gonna get hit by all three of our Annihilator beams. And let's see, that did about 1,200, a little bit less damage, 1,100 damage or so. Not bad. We have to remember that they're firing at 20,000 range, whereas we will get more shots from our, here we go, our particle whips, which actually didn't do a lot of damage. 150 from all four particle whips. Reduction by about half. Interesting. Okay, and there we go. Annihilator beam turrets hitting that dying sun, and oh, they're gonna hit us with something. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is we're gonna switch to dispersion, and we're gonna jump right into the middle of their fleet instead of getting hit with this. And there we go. Right there, and we got an obsidian rose out there. Was that what I saw? Maybe. Switch on that scarab swarm and just start wrecking this fleet. Yeah, unlike the other factions, we don't really care, or like the Tyranids and the Space Marines, we don't really care about the Drukhari as much. We're much more easily capable of destroying the enemy fleet before we take a lot of troop damage here than we would be against the Tyranids, where we get boarded and stuff. There we go. Oh, and it looks like it's going to hit us with something else again, but this time we will not be able to jump out of it. And yeah, that's maintaining distance there, so it could very well be a Titan, which is lovely. Ooh, would have been pretty cool if that had been a stasis bomb, actually. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing, Obdurate Crypt? Oh, wait, no, we're Obdurate Crypt. You're Black Sun's Envy. Well, Obdurate Crypt might be a fairly good description for what we've got going on here. Oh, that poor Drukhari ship. Alrighty, speaking of poor Drukhari ships, switch to reload, jump in. There we go, back to reload because there's not a lot of enemy ships, and down goes that battleship Dying Sun. Switch to that Obsidian Rose, and let's take care of the rest of them. Very nice. Can we board you again? Unfortunately not. And it is indeed a Spear of Cain back there. Lovely, at least we'll get some Titan battles. Launch some more defensive fighters on you, would you? What are you doing out here? Wait, did I launch these guys to defend you, or did I launch them to kill you? I don't remember. And now we can't see the enemy. So this is kind of dangerous, or at least it would be if the enemy had more long-range distance available to it, or more troops to bring us down. All right, come on now. Find that enemy ship. This is why you want escorts for this thing. Canoptech probe is almost ready, but you're gonna get hit again, and we'll just jump right beside you and probably board you as well. Or do we save the boarding for the Dying Sun? I don't know. Or Spear of Cain, rather. All right, here we go. How can I get hit with another one of these? Disruptor bombs. And you. Not Augur Disruptor, obviously. Alrighty, nice. You're just about dead. We can activate another Scarab Storm defensively, but look how much damage we've taken. We're at 93% hull, and it'll probably go to 94 by the time we reach the enemy due to Necron regeneration. Now it's just a simple matter of finding the enemy flagship. In fact, if we could attach our Scarab Swarm to it, that would be ideal. Ooh, in fact, let's launch our fighters at it. Did I say attach our Scarab Swarm? That would be ideal as well, but no, attach our Canoptech probe to it. Here we go, let's speed it up while the probe collides with it. Perfect. Okay, now this thing is screwed. Let's jump towards it in a few seconds. While it approaches, then we'll just leave the throne to fight it. What are we at in terms of hull now? Yeah, still 93. Wait, did I miss? Oh, what the hell? I missed the actual enemy ship. Oh, that's dumb. That is dumb. Well, oh, that board. Okay, well, the boarding actions made it. My bad. I'm not taking this battle seriously enough. Here we go. Ships come back here, or fighters come back here, and then we'll hit it again. Come on, there you go. Now that's not gonna miss it. Yeah, the problem I think is partly because of this thing's hitbox, but also me not paying very much attention. Because I just don't fear the Drukhari in this ship. They're not gonna be able to board us enough to actually take you down to a drifting hulk, I think. And they will never be able to do enough damage to you. I mean, after all this time, we're still at 93. Oh man, okay, wait, you launched some defensive fighters against you. Yeah, if those troops hadn't hit, that would have been real swell. Now it's time for the Spear of Cain to die, and I don't even know what the AI is doing. It's just turned away from us this entire time. Not even firing at us. Get closer to it, I guess. And it's moving away. Let's attach another Canoptech probe to it just in case that one disappears, although I think it'll be dead before before that happens. One more shot from any of its bigger weapons will take it out. Oh, actually, no, those look like particle whips, and they didn't destroy it. Oh, they got some nice green LEDs of their own here. One more shot from... Oh, there we go, now it's gone. Huh, might have been actually the fighters that killed it. Well done. As I said, the Drukhari are pretty easy to face in this obnoxiously powerful ship. Next up, let's try the Space Marines, I guess. 2 more fights, we'll see how it performs. And here we go, launch battle, and oh, Tyranids, you know what, fine, Tyranids it is. We'll do Space Marines last, and in fact, maybe Tyranids would be easier than Space Marines. The Space Marines do have a lot of armor and HP, and the Tyranids get themselves killed a lot by virtue of ramming into these ships, so that maybe they're easier than the Astartes. Alrighty, here we go. Ooh, that's a nice shot. Why isn't... Oh, cursor. Damn you, cursor. Let's move you here. I was trying to move the map and the cursor was stuck in the corner there and it wouldn't let me move. Reload, ready, go. And let's identify... What do we have here? A World Eater Hive Ship Fiend. I'm glad that it isn't a Pyroclastic Titan because that obviously wouldn't be able to light us on fire. Let's identify those enemies and try to maintain distance for a while. I want to get close enough to actually fire, though. Go, go, go. And we'll launch our defensive fighters in a few. I think we'll just keep them up and defending as much as possible. We good now? Alright, start wrecking those ships there. In fact, I think I want to send the Doomscythe transfer out here to keep enemy ships identified, if possible, and then you start moving this way. In fact, speed it up again a little bit. It's going to take a while for our fleets to essentially join together. There we go. Now you defend yourself and just soften up that enemy fleet. Not seeing the enemy admiral, unfortunately. But we've also identified most of the enemy fleets, so I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, oh, and they launched a bunch of Ether Swimming Brood Squadrons instead of Harpies. Unfortunate for them. Well, keep firing. This ship is nearly dead. Number 1, target this ship so that it actually propagates to the hurt one instead of wasting all those... What the hell? I number 1 targeted you. Oh! They killed that ship. You know what? Let's move a little bit. Right back here. And start turning while we cool down our weaponry. And get another Canoptech probe out here, just in case the enemy identified. They do have 2 hive ships moving up with the World Eater hive ship, so at least we can hopefully kill the smaller ships. And this is what I was talking about, choosing your engagement range. Since the Tyranids are threatening in terms of their troops, this is certainly something we can take advantage of here. Please take out this ship. I think, oh, you're still number 1 target? Yeah, there we go. Try to destroy it. Honestly, the particle whips don't do nearly as much damage as the annihilator beams, although that's obviously not surprising. This ship should be dead very soon. Ancestral Terror would be pointless. There we go. A couple more shots and then we'll jump again. Right over here, I think. I don't want to get boarded, that's for damn sure. Oh, it might rush forward. Oh, they're using tracking sense. Huh, I wonder why they all switched to tracking sense suddenly like that. I've never paid too much attention to enemy, to the AI's stance switching, personally. Ooh, and now they're getting close. They might be close enough to board us now. Okay, well, the danger is a little bit more real here. Do we launch a Scarab Swarm? I haven't been taking a lot of damage. Let's at least see if we can't destroy these hive ships. We've only been boarded by 5 troops. Oh, it's about to be more, isn't it? Come on. Keep getting away. Too slow to do that, really, but oh well. Alright, fine. I use the Scarab Swarm. You're about to be boarded by this hive ship. Increase the damage there. Scarab Swarm is out. Keep away from the World Eater Hive Ship Fiend, I guess. And 7 seconds until we can jump, you're probably going to board us. We could do some damage with our Star Pulse Wave, if we wanted to. And get ready to jump. Jump now. And, oh, they're going to follow us. Okay, well, good luck with that. Yeah, and this is once again what I was talking about. This thing has such a huge advantage just by virtue of being able to maneuver around like this and reposition. And if we were against something like an Orc fleet, we could jump right behind them, and that would be so devastating for an Orc fleet. Alright, keep doing what you're doing. Those defensive fighters are good. I guess we could launch some more. It's not like we really need the... Now, you know what? Let's save this just in case we need to pop Engramic Regeneration. It's very possible. And yeah, look how much damage this fleet has taken, whereas they haven't been able to close to a distance where it's advantageous for them, really. One more shot against you, you will be dead. We'll jump again now. Maybe we can even use this thing for cover. Although the edge of the screen is here now, it's probably too dangerous. Might get forced out of the screen and then right into the structure. I've seen crazier things happen. Number one target here. I want the Annihilator beams firing at this ship instead of the smaller ship here because it's already almost dead. The particle whips and stuff can kill it. There we go, very nice. Very, very nice. Alrighty, and get ready to jump again. Oh, and this, it is 270 degrees for the boarding. You're probably close enough to board us now. Oh, you're actually going to use your tentacles on us. You know, normally I'd like that sort of thing, but how dare you. Launch offensive fighters once again. Ooh, and we're almost down to our first yellow state here. At least we're not in a not getting close to a red state yet, and I mean a red critical state. These are not communist Necrons. And move. Oh yeah, there it goes. There it goes. Could have, I suppose, kept up reactive hull this entire time to get some of those troops back, but honestly, I don't think it's a big enough deal that we needed to. Oh, and if it isn't an enemy admiral, we'll number one target you right after this hive ship is dead. We'll make you number two target. In fact, we'll leave the World Eater hive ship fiend to last. Lovely. Alrighty, well, keep on wrecking the hive ship first, penetrating its shields with your shield pierce. Did that hit it, or did that smack into a debris field? Couldn't quite tell. Oh, well, now you're close enough for us to fire our lightning arcs, which is dangerous. 14 seconds until we can jump again. Enemy isn't really able to approach us, unfortunately, for it. And I think with that Annihilator beam shot, this thing will die. Oh, there we go. Oh, you're gonna get close enough. Actually, if you ram us, you'll explode. Or at least get close to it. And now we jump. There we are. Nice. Ooh, we're actually getting fairly damaged here. Yeah, certainly shows you the benefit of jumping. Obviously, if we had jumped right into the enemy fleet, we would have been able to dish out a lot more damage a lot faster, but we would have been boarded so heavily that we'd basically be stuck in either in Gramic regeneration or getting closer and closer to a drifting Hulk stage. Ooh, got the brain of the enemy admiral, too. Ouch. Admiral need brain. Bender need brain for smart making. Let's do this. Another defensive set of fighters, and let's send that. Oh, are you close enough to board? Oh, damn. Well, that ain't so great. Now that you've boarded us. Actually, it's not a lot of boarders, to be honest. Do we actually want you to ram us? I don't even know. And probably not. Jump on the other side here. And yeah, this is just an annoying thing that you can really do with the Necrons in general. As soon as the enemy turns, especially with the ships that don't turn very well, just jump to the other side. Ooh, now you're in a red state. And where are these fighters coming from? Oh, they might have another hive ship out there somewhere. Interesting. Oh well, and it's just a matter of killing this hive ship now, if there isn't a hive ship out there. I didn't see where that was launched from. Maybe we'll send a Canoptech probe out there as well. Oh, you're gonna get closer and you're gonna scream at us, but you know, we don't care about that. Guess we could board you, in theory, because we're close by. We're almost, there we go. Now we're close enough to board you. And we'll jump in another few seconds right behind you again. Wait, are you able to route? I think, yeah, Hive Ship Fiend. Hive Ship Fiends can route. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so unfortunate for the enemy AI there. It lost its Admiral and its Hive Ship Fiend just ran off the battlefield. We would have brought it down eventually, but it would have certainly taken some time. That poor Tyranid fleet. And yeah, once again, we could have recovered some of our troops via regeneration. One more time, I think, against the Space Marines, who I think will be the most difficult battle for this thing. Nothing else would really be any kind of challenge, so here we go. One more time. Yeah, the Throne of the Silent King does counter enemy Tyranid Titans fairly well, doesn't it? Except, I suppose, Behemoths, although the Behemoths have less mass and therefore would take more damage from ramming it, I suppose. Especially if they don't get the ramming angles right, which happens fairly often. But the Pyroclastic Titan wouldn't have been able to set it on fire, which would have also been quite unfortunate. Alrighty, one more time against the Space Marines. Let's start on this edge of the map, and then we'll kite this way. Ready up, reload, and get to it. And ooh, hello, what do they have? I was hoping for a phalanx, but ooh, looks like we have an Invincible Reason who wants to play in close combat, but does rely a lot on its macro firepower. Oh, you look fantastic in this color scheme, by the way, Invincible Reason. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, Black Templars eat your heart out. Blood Angel's color scheme looks very lovely. Wait, does it? Huh. I was about to see if they had the symbol on it, but unfortunately it doesn't. Oh well. Oh well, keep going, and I guess we need to defend ourselves with some anti-ordnance ordnance. And we might as well speed up, because watching the ordnance fight amongst themselves is not all that interesting, let's face it. Let's also set up a Canoptech probe to identify the enemy. Ooh, we gotta get past this debris field so we don't waste our precious Annihilator beam shots. I think we're okay. Oh, we're gonna waste it on a freaking escort. Yeah, that's another big thing that I forgot to mention about huge alpha slow-firing weapons. If you waste them on escorts, it really, really hurts. So number one, target this warmonger over here, see if we can't rip it apart. I'm actually kind of tempted to recall our fighters and tell them to, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll launch more fighters for these ones here. Wait, move away, move away, move away. And get boarded. Okay, I was too distracted by this, unfortunately. What I was going to say was recall the regular Doomscythe squadron and use them offensively, while the single set of Doomscythes via transfer to defend us from the various boarding torps and stuff like that. We do once again want to maintain distance so we don't get boarded out, just like with the Tyranids there. Alrighty. I mean, we saw what happens when you bring this thing in close when we fought the Drukhari, so now we gotta play it properly so we don't get hulked in a bad way. Although, is there ever getting hulked in a good way? I don't think so. All right, here we go. A nice bit of damage from those bombers. You got lit on fire again. Let's keep moving you away. Once again, it's just so annoying. And we're maintaining distance from battleships now as well, not just Titans. Gotta love that inertialess drive on Mega Titans. And, oh, okay, fine. Now you're finally gonna be able to close the distance, but not for long, let's face it. Also, let's identify whoever else is out there. One more hit from the Annihilator beams will kill you. You just need it to fire once again. And the turrets can fire whenever they damn well please. Come on, before we jump, ideally. Okay, those were the particle whips, and there's the Annihilator beams. Very nice. And hello, we have an Admiral out here. What do we have here? Some strike cruisers. Yeah, I want to target the smaller ships first, because they'll die quicker, which means not getting boarded. And yeah, like that. Oh, no, don't target the stupid escort with your Annihilator. I swear. Don't you do that. You're gonna make me sad. Ooh, looks like they waited, or they baited our jump and are now gonna hit us with something. Hopefully it's not a stasis bomb, which would be dangerous for us. Nope, it was a Nova Cannon. What are we at here? 94% HP. Yeah, once again, it's the troops that this thing has to worry about, not its HP, and which is why we're maintaining distance. Alright, keep on firing. That light cruiser should be out of the picture very soon. Where are our fighters, by the way? Oh, let's recall them, I guess. Maybe we can hit one of these guys. And 10 seconds until we can jump again, hopefully before we get boarded too much. You're gonna lightning strike, aren't you? Invincible Reason. Come on, come on, come on, come on, get ready to jump. Not gonna use the Scarab Swarm yet, but now you can jump, go. And there we are. Getting hit by some of those lance turrets, but the plasma macros, a lot of them are gonna miss. I have no idea how you can miss a target this big, but there we are. Or there we go, rather. Alright, that strike cruiser is just about out of the picture. Number one, target it, please. And then number two, target the other strike cruiser. Still looking pretty good. And I don't think there's any more hidden enemy ships other than the Invincible Reason, which we can have a nice little a duel with. Yeah, hopefully we kill the escort via propagation, or maybe even via our lightning arcs, not our primary weapons. Lightning arcs turn so that you can fire, please. Like so. Go. Lovely. You gotta remember that the lightning arcs can't fire backwards. Alrighty, and then there were two. Number one, target this ship, and keep moving. Jump again, I guess. Yeah. Get some of those kits in there. Hey, we're at 84% now. Oh, we're gonna get him another Nova Cannon, eh? That's why the enemy is not moving. Huh. A good job to the AI. Maybe I should have waited until it fired and then used it. Is that gonna do any troop damage? No. Certainly looks cool though. Alrighty. I'd like to take this, you know what, yeah, let's send our fighters to fight you. Fighters are meant for fighting. It's a lesser known remake of the Boots Are Made for Stompin' song. Alright, how are you doing there, Invincible Reason? Pretty bad. I think you have a lower hull than we do at this stage, and we still haven't used Scarab Swarm or Reactive Hull. Keep on killing that strike cruiser if you can. In fact, move this way instead of that way now. I want that strike cruiser dead. And its cat and its dog dead. Oh, and it's going to launch some torps at us, but fortunately we do have a Star Pulse Wave that we can use that on now. Actually, I think most of those would have been taken down by our turrets, but whatever. Keep attaching Canoptech probes to this thing completely unnecessarily. Just because we can, and the fact that we took it. Alrighty, and yeah, once again, this is just a good showing of why it's advantageous to be able to maintain distance like this. Oh, accidentally allowed us to go to the yellow state there. And you know what, maybe we'll just fight now. Scarab Swarm, get behind this ship as soon as you can jump, and then we'll just, we'll take it in close combat. Because it's not going to be able to board us enough for us to care, or for us to get destroyed. There we go. Board this thing if you can, and Scarab Storm with a turn in place. Please, and yeah. Shoot it in the back now. Hey, why are you turning the other way? Don't do that. Can't lightning strike, unfortunately. Alright, you gonna get some damage in there, buddy? Good luck. You're gonna need it. We could have maintained distance and just killed this thing from long range, but at this point, who cares, right? Set you to 0 engagement range, auto-engage, and then just... I mean, if you can ram it, I'd be perfectly willing. Good luck with that, Invincible Reason. 2,500 HP remaining. If only you had more lances and less plasma macros. Might have been able to output a little bit more damage. What are we at here now? 70%, and some of that's going to recover via Scarab Swarm and possibly Reactive Hull if we were ever to bother with it. But I think the Invincible Reason... Wait, this is an Invincible Reason, not a... not an Eternal Crusader. So why was I talking about the Black Templars instead of the Dark Angels? Whoops. My bad. So Dark Angels eat your hearts out instead. Anyway, easy little victory. Not too much of a problem. We could have maintained further distance, as I've already said, but I think that is pretty definitive how strong this ship is, even against the two enemies. That would be the most devastating guess. You know what? Let's do one more quick battle. Against the Orcs, we're just going to jump right into the middle of their fleet. Not even bother with maintaining distance at all. Just for the fun of it. It's not necessary, and I feel like it'll be easy, but we could just let our ship do its own thing, essentially. Ooh, and we got some lovely lighting for it this time, so I think that was worth it just for that in and of itself. Beautiful. Alrighty, would have been nice to once again have fought the Phalanx, but it's okay. Let's speed it up to max and let's get to it. Identify the Orcs, although it probably won't be as necessary once we jump into the middle of their fleet. Switch to reload for now, but you're going to go into dispersion when you get there. And let's launch our defensive fighters. Well, let's launch one now. Wait a few more seconds and launch the other one. Right now. And then Star Pulse Wave. No, not necessary. They're boarding craft. Alright, let's let the enemy fleet congregate, essentially. I'll get into a single blob so we can come towards you. I guess we're just going to annihilate this one ship before the enemy fleet is grouped up, which is fine, I guess. I'm just going to keep it sped up while we wait for the group up. Ooh, we're going to get hit with a Nova Cannon, but sort of not really. Oh, Orky Nova Cannon. I think the AI might not understand how to aim the Orky Nova Cannon. Because it doesn't really hit the location of its target, it hits around its target. Better for blobs and stuff. Ooh, please ram us. Ah, you're going to go through the wings there. Alright, it's okay. Let's do this. Scarab Swarm, jump right here. Fight the enemy now. Beauty. And Dispersion. And 0 engagement range, auto attack, cancel order, defensive fighters, Star Pulse Wave, I guess one of these. Number 1, target the enemy admiral. Board whoever you can reach, and do your own thing. There you go, buddy. There you go. I just wanted you to have a fun time killing orcs. I'm sure you have registered some internal damage. And why are you going this way? Stay in the middle of the enemy fleet. Don't go out that way. Come on, man. What are you doing? Alright, how's the enemy fleet looking? Well, their admiral is just about out of the picture. We're going to have to select another enemy. And, ooh, their orcs are going to torp themselves. Always lovely to see. I always love watching the orcs torp themselves. Let's kill you there, Dead Not Evie Zappa, next, because you have zap cannons, which are dangerous to us, or at least more dangerous than the macros. Speaking of dangerous, we're at 95 all HP. Oh, orcs. Yeah, you don't have a good time fighting this thing, and now that they've all turned this way, or most of them have turned this way, we're gonna jump right behind them right there. Ah, it didn't work. Oh well. I figured it wouldn't work, because here there's this debris piece, and then here they might have been too close to the enemy ships, but who cares? The enemy fleet is just having the worst day. Especially as I imagine the orcs don't have as much fun fighting the Necrons as they would various other factions. There we go. Oh, you poor orcs. They're having an even worse time of this than the Drukhari were. This ship is so freaking scary, and this is, I mean, I guess we're both benefiting slightly from the, well, the orcs are definitely benefiting from the buff, but I guess we are too in this particular case. Unless, well, we're nerfed by the damage reduction submod, but we are buffed by the HP increase submod. It was half and half, I guess. And then keep up those defensive fighters. We have not dropped into yellow state yet, but the enemy fleet is pretty much broken already. Mutinies all over the place. Many battleships have fallen. It looks like even the Mega Rocks doesn't want any part of this. If you could ram them, that would be swell as well. Let's get a Star Pulse Wave just to do a little tiny bit of extra damage. These poor ships. And as soon as these guys come back, we can hit them with an Ancestral Tear. One of the fun things about fighting the orcs is also the fact that they actually want to ram you, and that really doesn't end so well for them against the throne there. Please ram us. Ow. Moving out of the way a little bit. Oh well. Oh well, I think this thing is done for good now. I think that might have been the second time it routed. But even if it isn't, this is an absolute slaughter. Oh, it was not. Alright, well then target its deck. You have no deck because you are rocks, but we can hit you with an Ancestral Terror again. Oh, this Orky fleet. What are we at here now? 89% HP. Yeah, and once again, you can clearly see that the troop damage is much, much worse for this ship than the other types of damage. If you're bringing a support fleet, then you just bring a few supporting carriers just in case, but also it's you're going to get a lot of mileage out of getting smaller ships that could help it recover its troops, essentially, and keep it topped up. If this thing can be topped up constantly, it's just not going to die in terms of its HP. And here we go. You've got fires on board. You're basically dead. And you know what? Let's send this little fighter at you. We don't even need our own defensive fighters. If we can ram this Mega Rocks, that'd be swell. Oh, you can't jump forward. Oh well. I'm gonna board it again. Come on. You'll burn to death. Won't matter. 200 HP left. Ooh, Mega Rock's coming back one more time. Let's hit it with our fighters. Let's switch to reload now. We could have actually increased our damage a while ago, but I was maintaining dispersion because mostly I was just watching this thing wreck face. And yeah, now you can see the insane amount of ramming damage that it does because of the 500% increase there. Because of the traits that it's got. Beauty. Look at you. Alrighty, well, once again, I think pretty definitive of the strength of this ship, and I am going to obviously call the episode here. Next time we'll continue looking at the various Necron ships. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Throne of the Silent King, just showing the sheer dominance that it is able to achieve against all the various factions, especially against smaller-sized fleets, or i.e. not... I mean, we're at 1,400, not a standard fleet, but almost a standard size fleet, because obviously you can't afford a standard size fleet. Anyway, don't forget to leave a like and comment for your friendly neighborhood heretic. All glory to the algorithm, whatever I usually say, and thanks for watching.